There's something uniquely powerful about praying at midnight. It's a time when God's presence can feel especially close, and His power moves in remarkable ways. Midnight isn't just the darkest part of the night. It's a spiritual threshold, a moment when one day transitions into another. Throughout the Bible, we see God working miracles and bringing deliverance at midnight. It's a time when chains are broken, prayers are answered, and battles are won in the unseen realm. At midnight, Paul and Silas prayed and worshipped from a prison cell, and their faith moved the hand of God, shaking the earth and opening the doors of their captivity. Midnight is a moment where our prayers carry great significance, where God's light meets the darkness and ushers in a new beginning. In today's message, we'll explore the power of midnight prayer and why this moment holds such spiritual importance. We'll look at ways you can use this time to draw closer to God, seek His guidance, and cover your family in prayer. If you've ever felt the need for breakthrough, freedom, or a deeper connection with God, don't overlook the power of midnight prayer. Let's dive in and discover how this sacred hour can transform your spiritual journey. Throughout the Bible, midnight is more than just the darkest hour. It's a sacred time when God's power breaks through in extraordinary ways. One of the most striking examples is found in the story of Paul and Silas in prison. In Acts 16 verses 25 to 26, Paul and Silas had been unjustly arrested, severely beaten, and locked in the depths of a Roman prison. With their feet shackled and their bodies bearing the pain of punishment, they found themselves surrounded by darkness in every sense. Yet, rather than surrendering to despair, Paul and Silas chose a different response. They began their midnight prayer, singing hymns to God. In their suffering, they turned to worship, making a powerful declaration that God was still with them. Their faith-filled prayers at midnight weren't just a cry for help. They were a proclamation of trust in God's sovereignty, even in the most hopeless of circumstances. As they lifted their voices, God responded powerfully. An earthquake shook the prison, breaking open doors and unfastening every chain. Their midnight prayer didn't only bring them freedom. It impacted all the prisoners and even led the jailer and his family to salvation. This story of Paul and Silas demonstrates the unique significance of midnight prayer, a time when human strength is at its lowest, yet God's strength becomes visible. Midnight is a threshold, a moment when day transitions to night, and spiritually it can be a time of profound breakthrough. Through midnight prayer, Paul and Silas found deliverance, and their faith became a testimony to everyone around them. Midnight isn't simply about timing. It's about trusting God to move in powerful ways, even when the situation seems darkest. In this example, we see that midnight prayer is more than just asking God for help. It's an act of faith, an open invitation for His presence to bring light into dark places. Midnight prayer offers us a way to approach God in our moments of greatest need, knowing that He can break every chain and turn even the direst situations into testimonies of His power. Midnight signifies the end of one day and the beginning of another, a pivotal moment of transition from darkness to light. In a spiritual sense, midnight represents a sacred threshold, where we can experience God's transformative power. Choosing to engage in midnight prayer aligns us with the timing when God's strength can be most evident, especially in our moments of weariness or vulnerability. It's a time to surrender what feels heavy and invite God's light into the places where darkness may linger. Through midnight prayer, we trust that He is moving, even when things seem unclear or overwhelming. In Exodus 12 verse 29, God brought His final plague upon Egypt at midnight, leading to the Israelites' freedom after generations of slavery. This midnight intervention didn't just mark the end of captivity. It was the beginning of a new journey toward the Promised Land. Imagine how the Israelites must have felt on that night. Anxious, perhaps, yet hopeful for the freedom that awaited them. Midnight was a threshold moment, a point of no return, where God demonstrated His power to change their circumstances radically. Reflecting on this story, consider the areas in your life where you're seeking a breakthrough or freedom from something that has felt binding. Is there a place where you feel held back or unable to move forward? Just as God moved for the Israelites at midnight, your midnight prayer can be a time to ask for His guidance and intervention, trusting Him to lead you into new beginnings. When we bring our own captivities to God at midnight, we invite him to transform our challenges into opportunities for freedom and renewal. Midnight prayer is a unique opportunity to engage with God during a powerful moment of transition, inviting him to turn darkness into light and lead us into freedom and renewal. By praying at midnight, we embrace a time when God's presence can bring transformation, hope, and new direction in our lives. Midnight prayer is a profound opportunity to lift up the areas of our lives that need God's intervention most. At this sacred time, we can pray for breakthrough, protection over our loved ones, and guidance for the future. Here are 3 areas to focus on during midnight prayer, allowing us to surrender our concerns to God and trust him to move in powerful ways. 1. Praying for deliverance and breakthrough. For those areas where we feel bound, whether it's by fear, anxiety, addiction, or other burdens, midnight prayer is an ideal time to seek God's deliverance. Just as God brought freedom to the Israelites at midnight, our midnight prayers invite his power to break chains and bring transformation. This is a time to boldly seek freedom, knowing that God is able to release us from any weight that holds us back. Declare God's promises over areas where you need freedom. Select specific scriptures that declare freedom, like, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. 2 Corinthians 3 verse 17. Pray these verses aloud at midnight, affirming them over your life or any areas of struggle. Midnight is a time for bold declarations, inviting God's breakthrough where you felt bound, speaking his promises with confidence and faith. 2. Covering your family in prayer for protection and unity. Midnight prayer also offers a special opportunity to intercede for the well-being of our families. As you lift up your loved ones, ask God to shield them, fill their hearts with peace, and strengthen the unity within your household. Midnight can be a moment of spiritual protection, a time when we place our family under God's watchful care. Pray blessings and protection over each family member by name. Go through each family member, speaking a specific blessing or scripture over them, such as, "The Lord bless you and keep you." Numbers 6:24. Picture God's light surrounding each one, guarding them against any challenges or darkness that may arise. Midnight prayer allows you to entrust your family to God's strength and love, knowing that he is the ultimate protector. 3. Seeking God's guidance and wisdom. Finally, midnight, when one day ends and a new one begins, is a powerful time to seek God's guidance for the decisions and questions that weigh on our hearts. Whether you're facing a major decision or simply seeking direction, use this time to lay your plans before him and ask for his wisdom. Midnight prayer can open the door to receive clarity from God, bringing peace to areas of uncertainty. Write down one specific area where you seek God's guidance and pray over it at midnight. Choose a specific area of your life, such as a career choice, relationship, or new opportunity, where you need God's guidance. Bring it to him in midnight prayer, asking for wisdom and insight. As you pray, meditate on verses like, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." Proverbs 3 verses 5-6. Midnight prayer is an invitation to seek God's perspective, believing that he will illuminate your path in his time. Midnight prayer allows us to intercede for breakthrough, protection, and guidance in the areas where we need God's presence the most. By dedicating this time to focused prayer, we are actively inviting God's power and wisdom to work in every area of our lives. Midnight prayer offers a unique and powerful opportunity to connect with God in a way that transcends the usual moments of our day. At this sacred hour, we bring our burdens, our needs, and our praises to him, trusting that he meets us with strength and guidance. Midnight prayer isn't just about asking for help. It's about surrendering fully, allowing God to work in areas we cannot control, and inviting him to transform every corner of our lives. As you step into this time of prayer, remember that God is present, ready to bring breakthrough, protection, and direction into the situations you're facing. Midnight is more than a point on the clock. It's a spiritual threshold, a time when God's light meets the darkness, and when faith moves mountains. By dedicating even a single night to midnight prayer, you open yourself to God's hand in ways that can bring lasting change. For further insight, watch our recent video, "Are They Leading You Away from God?" Learn from the story of Ahab and Jezebel, It offers wisdom on recognizing influences that may be pulling you from God's will and equips you to stay grounded in His truth. Take a step of faith this week by committing to midnight prayer. Trust that God will meet you there, bringing light, strength, and transformation to every area where you seek His presence.